Hello everyone, this is Seah once again. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm just going to do a quick unboxing of the DF64 Generation 2. I know it has been reviewed by many others, but I'll just do on my parts to record the grinders that I've received from you so far. So this being one of them, let's get started. So this one just arrived yesterday. So now we are fully in stock. So if you're interested, do come down to ASK Coffee Roastery at 32 Seah Street to visit us. And if you want to see the demonstration of the grinder, you're welcome to drop by. This particular unit that I'm opening is actually the white color unit. Okay, so this is actually the base. So I'm going to invert this over. Right, as usual, the box is pretty well padded. Comes with a standard, I believe this is the foam padding. If I'm not too sure the material of this, I believe it's EVA foam, the one that cosplayer use to make their suits. So let me open this. So what you're seeing now is actually the Generation 2 of the DF64. I've made a lot of videos on the DF64 series, and now finally they've improved. And let's see how it is. Let's take out all the accessories that comes with it and put the padding aside. So it's all wrapped in thin plastic films or plastic bag. Definitely the quality of the finishing has improved a lot. Now the exterior looks a lot more premium, and the silicone socks or the rubber socks actually now comes in two pairs, sorry, and they actually give you one extra pair. So now it comes with 6 altogether. For the version that comes to Singapore, right, it's already pre-equipped with the UK 3-pin plug, so you don't have to worry about changing out the plug for yourself. And as comes standard with the DF64 version 4 onwards, it comes with the metal grind indicator, which is actually a screw at the back to grip onto the collar itself. Right, so now it is a lot cleaner. So this is the same as what we have on the DF64V. Right now comes with an anti-popcorn, so there's no need for you to install any more 3D printed or whatever aftermarket anti-popcorn anymore. So this is pretty neat. And of course, the switch has been moved from the center to the side. Personally, I don't find any problem with the switch at the bottom. Right, it's just a matter of getting used to. Whether it's at the side or at the bottom, it doesn't bother me. As long as the grinder grind perfectly, that's my most important goal. So let's take out the grind indicator and then remove the grind adjustment ring and then see what's inside there. So counterclockwise will loosen the collar so that you can actually remove it. Right, so okay, you can see the finishing now. I would say, of course, they've done a better job to make this much better finish as before. Right, the sticker I believe is the same as the last time. There's not any changes to the sticker for the grind indication. Right, the inside, I would say, is still aluminum, right? So now the top burr carrier is actually anchored by 3 rubbers here. So just have to pull it out. So you can see there are gasket, some sort of a gasket or rubber here, damper, to actually damp this. And the burr set is not the standard EPAM960. Right, I believe there are some coating to this. It's pretty sharp, so it is not the same as the DLC. There seems to be some sort of a sheen on it. So we'll test it to see whether the grind quality is okay for both espresso as well as for filtered coffee, and what kind of espresso are we getting from these burr sets. And it has a gasket here, and above this gasket, of course, is the wavy spring now that's been replaced. Used to be the 3-point spring, and now they have used this wavy spring here, which allows you to have a better alignment and better compression. The compression is now more even. It's not relying on 3 points. So I would say on the whole, it looks pretty neat and very easy to open up. Okay, let's see how well it's screwed down. Oh, it's pretty easy now. Okay, so let's first find out where is the 0 point, and then let's continue to grind some coffee and see how it goes. Pour on the empty cup popcorn. And of course, the other accessory that comes with it is the standard bellow. The bellow is now getting shorter and shorter. And of course, the cover now is a piece of walnut. Right, the walnut is pretty well machined, and so I would say the finishing is quite good. Friction grip onto the rubber bellow. Right, the rubber bellow itself has some sort of friction to it, so it doesn't drop off as easily as compared to the DF64V. Okay, I think this is a lot firmer than the DF64. It doesn't drop. Okay, it still drop, but then let me see whether there's any way that we can make it more secure so that it doesn't drop so easily. Okay, at least when I hit it, it doesn't drop as similar to the DF64, the V version. There's some grease on it, so let's just clean out. Okay, the other accessory that comes with it will be the dosing cup. Right, of course, now has been changed to the aluminum version. Right, it's pretty light, so it is not as heavy, so it grips pretty nicely. And then of course it comes with an aluminum collar extender, so that now your grind will directly go inside your grind catcher here. There is some sort of a gasket here. Is it supposed to do this way? No. Right, it's supposed to be like, oh, there's another gasket in between here. So I think this is preventing the rattling and also to prevent accidentally drops. There's another gasket here. Let me see whether it fits the 50 mm portafilter. Right, it does fit very nicely. So I guess now you can use this as one piece, and then you can just take the holding out, transfer directly, and then you dose. Pretty neat, I would say. So now your coffee ground won't be flying everywhere. So this is quite good. So let's remove all this plastic wrap and then move on to the actual testing. So now let's turn on the grinder for the first time. Okay, because it's resting on a stainless steel table, so it seems a bit louder. But you can see that as I turn on the grinder doesn't shift in a, it doesn't jack, it doesn't move or shift in a position because of the torque of the motor. So now the grinder sits really well on the counter and it doesn't move at all. So that's a very good sign. So now let's try to find the 0 point. Okay, I'll be removing the top. I'm still using by hand. Okay, now the burr is actually locking. It doesn't turn. Still locked. I can hear the two burr set rubbing each other. Probably my touch point, and I can see that the touch point now is exactly at 6 o'clock position where the exit chute is. So I believe this is pretty good. It's a good sign that my my 0 point is not floating anywhere between the clockwise direction or the anti-clockwise direction. So this is a good sign, a much better improvement from the DF64 generation 1. So let's lock up the grind indicator. So if I turn on the grinder now, you'll hear the two birds chirping, which I don't want it to do. So let's move it slightly in the anti-clockwise direction. Right. So now we are at a grind setting of 10, which is pretty fine. So let's put some coffee in and then let's try to pour a shot of espresso and see how good it is. Don't forget to install the anti-contact. There are some grease. You can just clean it with a cloth. Right, so now we are grinding at 10 and let's see how fine the grind is. Let's get some coffee. I'll be using this coffee from Costa Rica, the Las Lajas region. Right, let's dose about 10 grams first and see whether how much coffee is being retained. Of course, the first grind, there's always some retention to fill up the groove. But as compared to this version of Gen 2 versus Gen 1, the inside is a lot smaller, so that they leave behind lesser space for the coffee to be caught up in between the spaces there. So, but nonetheless, let's still try to dose 18 grams. Let's do a 10 gram and see whether we get 10 grams out. So exactly 10 grams here. Right, let's dose in and see how it goes. The vibration comes from my stainless steel tabletop. Right, let's see how much coffee has been grinded out. Right, so for the first time, there's a 0.6 grams of retention. So let me try to bellow and see whether we can get the 0.6 gram out or how much we can get it out from here. Let's turn on the grinder. Right, it is still 0.6 gram, which means the first time that we dose, the grinder stored about 0.6 grams of coffee. So now let's move on to dose, because I'm going to do a 17 gram shots. So the next, probably I will dose around 6.6 gram. No, 7.6 gram, right? So let's do 7.6 gram, and then we get a 17 grams in total. 7.6 gram. So we should be getting 17 gram out exactly if I dose 7.6 gram. Let's hope we get that, and let's check how much the coffee actually retained after the first time. Right, this is exactly 7.6 gram, 7.6, 7.7. Right, so we are dosing about 7.7, and let's see how much coffee actually comes out. Right, so the second time onwards, it has almost zero retention. I would say it's in fact zero retention. Usually when you first started the grinder, there will be some retention inside to fill all the spaces, but subsequently it should be getting quite a steady amount. And now in this case, you can see the second shot onwards, I'm actually getting zero retention inside. So now let's make a cup of coffee and see how it goes. So let's pour everything to 1 cup. This is actually the La Pavoni Botticelli Specialty Coffee Espresso machine, I mean, with flow control. So you can see it fits really nicely. Whoa. We may have to shake it a little bit so that it doesn't become a mountain. Right, so this is much nicer. The coffee really smells good. I'm going to temp it down directly using my 3-bomber flash constant temper. Okay, I think the space is a bit tight, but let's see whether we can get a good extraction or it's actually too fine for the first time. I think we are grinded a little bit too fine, too coarse, I mean. In about 15 seconds, we are already getting about 50 grams of espresso. Nonetheless, let's try the espresso and see how it tastes. I'm quite sure this is going to be a little bit more acidic. So let's try the shots. I can smell the fruitiness inside there. Get a spoon. Oh, the acidity is very high. Yep, it's a bit too bright for me. So let's reduce the grind size and let's try again. Even though it's bright, the sweetness is still there. Just that the brightness is a little bit too much. Wow. But the fruitiness is really bursting out. I'm quite surprised with this burr, even for the first or second time as it grinds. But I want to make this more enjoyable, so let's reduce the grind size and let's try again. So right now I'm going to dose direct into the polyfilter, and you can see the dosing actually fits nicely, the color. And with this, I probably don't need my magnetic dosing ring anymore. This one fits actually pretty nicely. So let's measure 18 grams of coffee, 17 grams of coffee, and let's try again. So before that, don't forget to reduce the grind size. So I'm probably going to grind at about 7. Let's see how it goes. 17 grams. 17.1 gram exactly. So let's zero out the weight of the grinder so that we can measure the output. The position of the anti-popcorn, let me show you. When you pour in the coffee beans, right, sometimes it will stay on top. So if you find that you're not getting what you're putting in, so sometimes the coffee does stuck on it stays on the anti-popcorn disc. So just do a quick check before you actually grind. I'm going to leave the cover open to see whether any coffee will actually bounce out. Right, so you can see there's no coffee jumping out, so the anti-popcorn is actually pretty effective. Right, so now let's measure the output. Right, we are getting 16.9, so there's a 0.2 grams of retention this time. Let me try to battle a little bit harder to see whether we can get everything out. Turn on the grinder. Right, so pretty much it retains about 0.2 to 0.3 grams of coffee. Right, so I may be lucky on the first try that I get zero retention, but it does retain a small amount of coffee. So in my experience right now, after the second shot, it takes in about 0.2 to 0.3 grams. Right, so let's proceed to probably WDP this time, and then let's pull another shot and see how it goes. There's some small little clumps, so let's try to break them more. Okay, should be good. Should be good now. Let's see a little bit, but I think that's the best we can do. Let's start with zero, low flow. This is a much better shot. We are hitting about 25 seconds. So in 25 seconds, we are getting about 40 grams of coffee, which is slightly over 1:2 ratio. And this shot looks a lot better in terms of body. And the crema is much better as well. So now let's try to taste the coffee and see the second shot. Let's rinse out the spoon. Whoa. Still bright, but the brightness level has reduced a little bit. And Wow, this is a very, very nice shot. The sweetness is rocking on the roof. The texture and body is pretty good, but I would say it's on the lighter side as compared to the Itamio. I think the Itamio does give you a more heavier body shots than as compared to this current burr sets with a shiny kind of coating. The shots, maybe because of these beans, is a lot brighter and juicier because it's lighter roast. So that could be the reason why the shot is slightly cleaner with slightly lesser body, a lot of sweetness, a lot of acidity, a lot of brightness. But it's a very pleasant shot. So I think overall, um, the grinder has been improved, and so far on my second attempt to grind to dial in the shots, it has been quite easy to dial in. Even though we are now grinding at a range of 7, right? We are actually getting very decent espresso from that. So I'm have high hope for this grinder. So let me test it and use it further, and then give you my honest review on this. However, we do sell this grinder here in Singapore. So if you're interested, you can always come down to ASK Coffee Roastery to see the demonstration. Right, this is CY, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.